hearing is being videotaped and audio taped, so please keep that in mind as you approach the rail to address the board. To begin our hearing, I'd ask that everyone please join me in the I pledge allegiance to
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The fourth item on the agenda this evening is the petition of Nicholas McKenzie, 5 Legacy Lane, seeking a variance to install a fence that is higher than 3 feet within the front setback. Is the applicant here?
Yes, here.
Approach. Hi, if you could identify yourselves for the record, please, and please give me your addresses.
Yep, that's Nicholas McKenzie, 5 Legacy Lane.
I don't know what the issue is with the feedback. Are you Frank?
Yes, I am.
Of 87 Middle Street?
Yes.
Okay. So the board has, excuse me, your petitions. Do you want to just explain to us what the relief that you're seeking?
So we had initially put the fence in once we finished the subdivision, and we didn't realize we had to pull the fence permit, so that's when we found out about it as far as the height goes, and we understood it couldn't be 6 feet. There's a retaining wall below it with a pool, so we just wanted to just go higher than the traditional 3 feet. We had been issued a variance in 2020, and life got in the way, family issues and a few other things, and we didn't realize the variance had expired, so we're just hoping the board would just reissue the variance exactly as it had been before to the 4'4" fence.
Okay, so I'm a little confused. Has the fence has been installed, or you installed the fence without a permit?
The fence had initially been installed without a permit, and that's when the whole issue came up when the building department stopped by.
When was that?
2020.
So was there a cease and desist order that was issued in 2020?
Yeah. Want me to ask the,
Maybe, you might not even need it, maybe you could just,
Mine doesn't even work anymore. Okay, so was the fence completely installed by the time the cease and desist was issued?
I think you saw it when you guys came out and did it.
Oh, yeah, I remember doing the second.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember this. Let me ask, do any members of the board have any questions for the petitioners?
Just the timeline again, so you built the fence, had the building inspector come out, and then you came here and got the variance,
Correct.
right?
Yeah, it was just an oversight on our part. We didn't realize we had to pull a permit for the fence.
We granted the variance,
Yes.
Yes, we would.
so isn't it a dead issue at that point? Why, I don't understand why you're back. Did you rebuild the fence? Did you have to take the fence?
We didn't realize the variance expired within 1 year. That's what we were told by Tom Quinn. So that's why we're here. The family matters. We never proceeded for a permit. So that's why we're here. So we can get the variance.
So the fence was physically up, it's still there now, correct?
Yes.
It's still there now, physically there, the one from 2020?
Yes.
Then you got a variance from us for that fence?
Maybe this will give you a little clarity. That's the fence that's up right now.
And we're trying to
Right.
install additional fencing to go completely around the pool. That's what we were waiting to do.
I see what you mean, all right, so you needed to,
Okay, so let me ask you, the plan that you submitted, I'm looking at the plan dated May 23rd, 2025. The document, you guys have that in front of you?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so tell me, what's the part that has not been installed?
The part that's not been installed, this has all been installed here to this point, but none of this has been installed.
So you're pointing to,
A portion of it is on Legacy Lane, Nicholas's house, which is right here, because that's the property line.
Sure, but you know what, sir, I mean, so you're pointing at something, but our meeting minutes are gonna reflect what it is, so I'm
Okay.
trying to, that's what
Okay.
I'm trying to identify.
Yeah.
So for example, the fence along the side lot line of Middle Street has not yet been installed?
Yes, the one on the side lot line on Middle Street, and then the lot lines in between the front of Legacy, 5 Legacy Lane and the rear of 87 Middle Street.
Right, let me ask you this. So I'm looking at a color-coded fence. The location of the fence is color-coded. The first section of the fence that is near the label that says existing 6-foot solid PVC fence, that's there, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And continue on, the next section in yellow has been installed, correct?
Correct, yes.
What about the part in orange? Is that installed?
Yes, the part in orange on the radius of Legacy Lane, that has been installed, yes.
Okay, so the part that has not been installed is the part that's perpendicular to Legacy Lane?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the rest of the fence that's highlighted in yellow, that also is what you want to install now?
Right.
Yes.
Mhm.
Any members of the board have any questions?
Yeah, just if you could clarify, please. So the yellow, as opposed to the darker gold, the yellow fence is what you are trying to install, correct?
Some of the yellow is existing.
The yellow and the orange was used to delineate the permit for my house for 5 Legacy Lane compared to the 87 Middle Street permit where it fell on the property lines.
Yeah. Yes, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so was that part at the top of the site plan, was that the subject of the variance that you were issued before, or are you applying for a new variance?
I believe that was the subject of the variance last time as well.
And you just let it lapse in your backyard?
Yes, yes, we did not, we didn't realize it expired. It was just an oversight on our part.
And it's a proposed 4-foot, 4-inch
Yes.
Yeah.
all the way around.
Including the part that's highlighted in orange?
Yes.
Yes, all the orange would be, yes, the 4'4".
But in a sense, you need a 4-foot fence for a pool anyway, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's what, because it was surrounding the pool, that's why
I
we
think
wanted
I
to
asked
have
that
the...
question 5 years ago, right?
And it's picket, like the slated kind?
PVC picket fence.
But it seems like he had already acted on it, doesn't, he did some work for the variance, right? It's kind of weird, but, I don't know.
Recorded the variance?
Yes. We applied for the permit a month or two ago to wrap up the perimeter, the conclusion of the fencing, and that's when it came up with Tom Quinn.
When did you record the variance?
I think it was part of your package.
It was recorded,
It's in the
August of that year. It's August 24th.
so yeah, August of 2020.
Let me ask, is there anyone in the audience who cares to be heard in connection with this petition for a variance at 87 Middle Street and 5 Legacy Lane? How does the board wish to proceed?
I'll make a motion to approve both variances in accordance with the drawings and documents submitted this evening.
Second.
So I'm going to tell you, I typically, last time I did not vote in favor of this, but I traditionally do want to be respectful of the board's decision in the past. And so even though I don't that motion?
Second.
All right, all in favor of the pending motion?
Right.
All right, so it passed, so this time now you go, you need to get the building permit to finish the fence. I'm not sure about where you're recording it or not, but it seems like this is probably a good idea for you to dot all your i's and cross all the t's so that, 50 years from now, if someone wants to do something with this fence, they will.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
The next item on the agenda is the discussion of section 35 of the Woburn zoning ordinance, the protected use accessory dwelling units. Copy of the ordinance is here. I'm going to apologize to the board because the notes that I took with me are the notes of a different meeting that I attended last Wednesday, not the notes of the meeting that I had with the city solicitor and Commissioner Quinn, but I'll give you kind of my takeaway from the meeting. And Member Chatfield can correct me if I'm wrong, but my memory is faulty. But the biggest takeaway is that because ADUs, the new statute, the whole purpose of the statute is to build more housing, and hopefully it's going to be affordable housing to ease the housing commonwealth. So, under the city ordinance that's modeled on the state statute and the regulations, particularly the regulations, most ADUs are going to be allowed as a home. Anywhere where single-family dwellings are allowed in Woburn, people can apply for an ADU. So that's, so anywhere, literally anywhere there's a single-family home, the owners can apply for an ADU. If it meets the other requirements, it's going to be granted as of right. So there's limits on the size. The ADUs can be up to 50% of the footprint of the existing dwelling unit. They're capped. They're capped at 900 square feet. So the largest ADU is 900 square feet. If you have a really small house and half of your square footage is 500 feet, you only get 500-foot ADU. You don't get a 900 square foot ADU. There are some, and the reality is, it's kind of much like we do with special permits, where we have an application that comes before us where there's an existing nonconformity, and oftentimes we determine that even expanding that nonconformity is not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing structure. That's the view that the building commissioner is going to take. So we're looking at various examples. Let's say, for example, someone has a garage that's 10 feet from their side lot line, but that garage has been there since 18 or whatever, or 1950, whatever it was. Because the garage is legally in existence, as long as that garage is 5 feet from the rear lot line, then, less than 900 square feet, then people who own that garage can get a permit to convert it to an ADU.
A permit through the building inspector or a special permit?
It's going to be as of right through the building inspector.
So, and my only question beyond that was if there's a change of use. So you're changing the use of the structure from a garage to a now living quarters, if you will.
But it's an authorized change of use from the statute blesses it. It's now going to be an accessory dwelling unit, and that's an approved use.
Going back to the size on that, though, it still has to be half of what that, even it's an existing, let's say it's existing 1,000 square feet, but it can only be half of the size of the single-family property or the principal property. So they would have to, they would only be able to use a certain amount of it if it was much bigger.
Yeah. So, all right, so, because there are, I mean, say you have some ginormous garage with this tiny little ranch. The size of the ADU is governed by the size of the ranch. And people may want to, you know, expand the size of their primary dwelling in order to build an ADU. And my memory is that the building commissioner is quite clear that since everything flows from the dwelling, the original dwelling unit, if you want to expand your original dwelling unit and you're going to have a larger ADU, you're going to have to finish that expansion first. You're not going to be able to do both at the same time because you have to have, the primary structure is
Square
what
feet.
supports the ADU. So it's the building commissioner's interpretation of that. Yeah, you want to have a bigger ADU, but first you're going to have to enlarge the structure. And then once that's done, then you can apply for a larger ADU. We spoke a lot about how our ordinance allows accessory structures, typically garages or sheds, to be only 4 feet from the rear lot line. But the building code, fire code provision has a requirement of 5 feet. So that the building code is the building commissioner sees that as kind of a primary. And as well as there's some other regulations regarding fire walls and fire safety that may implicate some of the, you know, people want to take a garage, for example, and turn it into an ADU. They're going to have to comply with more rigorous requirements for fire safety. But the ADU would be 5 feet from the rear lot line instead of 30. So we anticipate that since almost all of these are going to be, again, assuming people meet the criteria, that they'll be granted as a right. If people disagree with the building commissioner, so say, for example, the building commissioner denies an application for an ADU, we'll use that same, you know, get 1,000-foot ranch, so you only get a 500 square foot ADU. If the building commissioner denies permit to construct a 900 square foot ADU because of the size of the ranch, the property owner can appeal that, just like any other decision of the building commissioner. So we may see some appeals of the building commissioner's rulings. And the only other time that it's anticipated that we are going to see a special permit application is for 2-family structures. One ADU is allowed as of right for a 2-family structure. The second ADU, however, needs a special permit to be approved. So those are ones that you can see in addition to the appeals of the building commissioner.
What about a single-family structure? Do they,
If you only have one,
okay, but can they also, can they apply for a second one?
I suppose they could, and if the building commissioner denies that, then they would come to us.
What would the board, the zoning board, what would we base on the approval of a 900 square foot ADU if the main premises dictates the ADU? So in other words, if you have 500, because it's 1,000, they come in, they say, we need 900. What is the reason for us to say, okay, yeah, we'll give you 900?
Respectfully, I would say the board doesn't have approval. I don't think we have the authority to
Yeah.
relieve this not allowed further the statute. I suppose there could be instances where people would ask for a variance, right?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I haven't given this a lot of thought, but say there's some funky shaped old lot, and somehow there's an argument that, well, we need a variance, you know, in order to build the ADU that we want to build, regardless of the square footage, right, because of the setbacks, maybe they need a variance. we might see something like that. You know, again, and that would just be kind of like a traditional variance.
Well, that's interesting. I was similar along those lines. So if someone wanted a second one, how would they appeal it? Through a variance or a special permit?
No, I think it's, so if you, well, if the building commissioner denies it, but it's only for the two, so it's a two-family. So if a person who wants a two-family wants to build a second ADU, they need a special permit to do that. So it'll be a special permit application. Which actually, and I apologize to Mr. Vincent, because last week I started to reach out to Member Ryan, and I neglected to do that, because of course now we need to add another little box on our newly reconstituted beautiful form. But yeah, so we need to have a little,
Would you mind just marking up your copy and maybe emailing me a picture of it or something?
not at all, I would be happy to do that. I'm thinking it might go under item 4, where it says zoning district, where we have other, but maybe we just say ADU, because we have R1, R2, and then we need to make ADU next to that.
I'm sorry, what page are you looking at?
I'm looking at our, so I'm looking
Cover
at
sheet.
the petition for 87 Middle Street. It's been completed because there's some new form.
Cover
So
page?
item number 4, where it says zoning district, and we have R1, R2.
Oh, okay,
And they can check to maybe put a little ADU box next to that.
okay, yeah.
Presumably, someone would check R2 ADU. And people who needed a special permit to install a second.
If you think of any other locations where that needs to be amended, let me know.
But is the ADU considered a zoning district? Should it be done under the categories if it's not a, so you have minimum lot size, lot width, building ground coverage, height, stories? Should it be there instead of under the zoning?
Could be. Do we have room for it there, do you think, Jack?
I'm sorry?
You think we could put it under, so it's under section 4, we're enrolled in the petitioner. We have all the little boxes, the various boxes for them to check.
Mm-hmm. You want, you're saying add another box to that section?
Yeah, so remember quickly saying, well, instead of putting it under zoning district, not really zoning district, why don't we just add a checkbox to say ADU?
So under the petitioner section?
Correct.
All right, yeah.
Does everybody else have any feedback?
I agree with that.
Well, really, we just need to know it's an R2 district, right?
Yeah, but they would have to, right, they would have to check off the
I just had another question. This thing was really helpful, by the way. It was, answered a lot of questions, but I don't know if this applies or not. But say someone owns a two-family home, and I saw it mentioned attached and detached. So what if they wanted to turn it into a three-family home? Could they do it through, could they call that third unit an ADU?
Well, that's the thing, it's not so,
Two primary and two ADUs, right? Whether the ADUs are connected or not. It's
Still it's still three family, I guess, right?
well, I'm not so sure it's a three-family or not.
Considered a three family.
Because, because this whole AD, and honestly, when we're faced with these questions, I'm gonna be reaching out to the city solicitor. Because the ADU is such a different animal.
Right, well, that's the thing about it, because reading something about, it doesn't have to have its own electricity, plumbing.
Well, it does, but it all comes off it'll come off the main structure.
Right, but I thought I read where it's, I forget which section it was, that it didn't have to have its own separate plumbing, electric.
Doesn't have to have its own meter.
Metered or not. That's why I thought, ask this question, if someone owns a two-family, is that something that we're gonna come across, where they say, well, I'm gonna add a ADU to this two-family?
Yeah.
Turn it into a three-family.
Well, there
And then
won't
they
be
can
a
add a
four-family.
second one, turn it into a four-family.
There won't be a four-family.
But on record, it'd be two-family, yeah.
It'll be two families and
Within ADU.
And the ADUs are gonna have separate addresses.
Within the structure, though, I mean,
Oh.
as an attached, not a detached. They could do that.
Yeah. But it won't be classified as a three-family.
Okay,
It's a two-family with an ADU.
all right.
Especially if it's not zoned for a three-family, right? I mean, the area has to be zoned for it.
The two-family too, he spoke about the ADU size is only based on one, right? It's not based on like the whole two-family size, it's just based on one unit. Like whatever the square footage.
That could be a very small ADU when you think about the two
Correct.
families. Yeah, like, could be, 100 square feet. I mean, it could be really small. I mean, when you think about micro, but I mean, if you go two-family, it could be 900 square feet by itself.
I just see that as a really sticky area, so people, home if they just want to rent out, it's, it almost becomes a boarding house. Tough to enforce that.
There was there was some discussion about things that we're just gonna have to deal with when they come across. Like one of the examples was, if there's a unit that has two separate condos, one of the owners wants to build an ADU, builds the ADU out back. Now the other owner has to go for a special permit, has to go through that process. Can't build it by right because it's the second ADU. And Mark and Tom, the city solicitor and the building commissioner said, we're just gonna have to deal with that once we get those things. So,
And I read, there was some time ago in the Globe, there was a story about this, and I thought I read something, I could be mistaken, about condos and how the association can somehow prohibit. Yeah, okay.
And we talked last week, I said, well, who's policing what's common area and what's exclusive area? Because right, is it our job to, if someone comes in and says, oh, I want this ADU, and we don't ask, well, but isn't that common area? How can you build your ADU on the common area? Are we gonna be looking at condo documents to figure that out?
The deed usually has the percentage like of ownership. Yeah.
It appears that we're not gonna see a lot of these. I think that if it's allowed by right, especially these garages that are close to the lot lines and sheds or whatever.
I'd like to think that, but I have a feeling we're going to see it.
We'll learn as we go.
But your straight variance we'll see, correct? Yeah, due to my lot line, it's gonna go in,
And these are all rental, right? Property, you can't sell you can't,
Not separate.
you can't break it apart. You can't have a separate tax parcel, right?
And I think a lot of it's going to be with families, right? You have parents who bought their house in Woburn 50, 60 years ago, and now they're sitting on very valuable property that, second generation can buy, but the ADU will allow those generations to live on the same property.
I can see that, but I've been hearing that it's the property owners and those that rent out houses and things like that would be the ones that would actually build it so that to be able to get more people into their properties. But I heard they're pretty expensive too. I don't know, but
Say 300,000
yeah.
is the quote that I've heard.
I have no idea.
one of the
What
things,
about coverage? I mean, of coverage of the lot.
That still applies, that's.
Okay, so the percentage is still there, okay.
Yeah, so people with really small lots may have problems.
one of the things that the city council discussed was, and there was some opposition to it, because there are gonna be people who, if if there was an owner-occupied component to it, I think it would have almost unanimous support. That was one of the things they discussed. But since it doesn't, that's one of the things that is gonna have to be worked out.
Yep.
Prefabs. Prefab houses, do you think would be
All those big sheds.
an expensive way to do it? Sheds? Yeah, you never know.
But, you know, when you get to the utility side of it though, that checks, I mean, that's a lot of utility money that, trying to get water, storm, electric, not storm, sorry, sanitary, to these dwellings that are in the back of a house that have no plumbing,
Yeah.
no utilities that go back there, you know, that's not cheap.
Yeah, so, it'll be fun to find out. Yeah, and I apologize if I forever wrong, so.
You covered everything. I had my notes in.
Excellent.
Yeah. Covered everything.
All right, so unless there's any other.
Next meeting, we didn't set the
Oh,
date.
yeah. So 16th.
It can't be the 15th.
Yeah, the 16th, yeah.
Is the 16th?
No, we were just whispering about that too.
All right, ZBA meeting on July 16th.
If we have, can I just move forward 1 month? If we have one on August 20th, I will not be here.
Oh, yeah, I won't be either.
I won't be even.
Oh,
So thank you. for-
yeah, sorry.
Oh, my gosh.
August 13th then? Or August 20th?
August 13th, I won't be here.
August 27th?
I won't be here. You might have to do without me.
I won't be here the 27th either.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'll get back to you on the 13th.
Probably won't.
What was the first August date?
13th?
I can get back to you on the 13th, then when I get back to my house.
13th's probably better than the end of the month.
Oh, yeah, we have an election on the 26th. too.
All right, so August 13th,
And I will not be here.
so we will miss you.
Okay.
Maybe everybody else can.
Yes, I
I'll
can.
get back to you when I get to my calendar. I think I'm around. I know the 20th I'm not, but I think I can.
Thursday, the 21st, I'm available. Just throwing it. You can't do it? All right. That week, okay. Pretty much any other Monday night, I can,
Yeah, I think I'm almost positive I'm here on the
Maybe.
13th, but I can email you tonight.
Mondays
gotta-
and Tuesdays are generally tough because other boards. Wednesday's always wide open.
yeah.
It's us in the historical commission, that's it.
About Friday afternoons, I can,
We could do that.
except for the 15th. I can't make the 15th, but
Let me know if you just get that to me so I can.
I'll let you know tonight. I'll send you an
All
email.
right, thanks.
Yeah, I think I'm away the week before and the week after, but I think I can.
All right. The next item on our agenda is the meeting minutes from May 23rd. I reviewed them, I did not have any comments. Does anybody else have any?
motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
All in favor? All right, so those are approved. And I don't believe there's anything else on our agenda, so I would ask.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned until July, whatever it was.